Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Hurricane Dorian devastates the Bahamas. Folks, massive damage all across that country. We'll show you some of that and also talk to folks who are on the ground of what they're trying to do to help. We can also going to give you the information on how you can help Bahamians recover from the devastation of Hurricane Dorian. Also, it's making its way to Florida. We'll also get the latest from Paul Goodlow of the Weather Channel. Unions have more support now than they've had in nearly 50 years, according to a new Gallup poll. We'll talk with the president of the AFSCME, Lee Saunders, about this and what does that mean for the election in 2020. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot tells Ted Cruz, keep our name out of your damn mouth. Pretty much what she said. Also, a good Christian woman in Mississippi cancels a black couple's wedding because, well, the bride was white and the groom was black. And she said, no, that ain't what we do as Christians. Now they're apologizing. Oh, you showed your true self. We see what it is. And a brother is suing American Airlines for choosing to put him off a plane rather than move a support dog. Naomi Osaka shows us what class looks like in sportsmanship as she consoles Coco Gauff. And, of course, we have another crazy-ass white person for you, y'all. I mean, this one is crazy. This woman claims her dad is black, but what the racist crap she said to this Latino brother in California, absolutely outstanding. I keep telling y'all, Trump has unleashed these folks on America. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Hurricane Dorian has shifted its sights to Florida while it, of course, blasted the Bahamas. Folks, watch this video here. It is stunning. The storm, which hit the northern Bahamas as one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record, has wreaked havoc on the islands for more than 2 days with unrelenting rain and wind. 5 people have been killed, as we know so far. Bahamian Prime Minister Hubert Menes was at a news conference and talked about how devastating this has been on the country.
This is probably the most saddened and worst day of my life to address the Bahamian people. And I just want to say that as a physician, I've been trained to withstand many things, but never anything like this. We're facing a hurricane, Hurricane Dorian, one that we've never seen in the history of Bahamas. Many had remained behind, and still there are individuals within the West End area who still refuse to leave. I can only say to them that I hope this is not the last time they would hear my voice, and may God be with them. I can say that the Marsh Harbor area of Abaco, parts of it is already underwater, and some areas you cannot tell the difference as to the beginning of the street versus where the ocean begins. And they've not yet been hit by the brunt of the storm.
All right, folks, this is a video a friend sent me. This is Freeport. This is the airport terminal. This is the terminal at the Freeport, Bahamas airport. Completely gutted and destroyed. Again, it is devastation. A lot of our people, a lot of our folks, and understand, we have a huge number of people who walk from the Bahamas who watch Roland Martin Unfiltered. I was there just a couple of months ago, and it is shocking to see what happened there. What can we expect now? Let's go to the Weather Channel meteorologist Paul Goodlow. He joins us right now. Paul, glad to have you here. We've seen that video in the Bahamas there. Nassau, not as they had rain, had flooding, but of course, some of the other islands, I mean, just devastation. One of those islands, 70% underwater.
Yeah, so Nassau was about 100, 120 miles away from the center of Hurricane Dorian when it was at its peak intensity, 185 mile per hour sustained winds. That's basically tied for the second strongest hurricane ever in the Atlantic Basin and the strongest hurricane ever to move across any area there in the Bahamas. So this is something that we have never seen before in our lifetime, for sure, definitely lifetime of the nation of the Bahamas as well. Then that was the Abacos, Great Abacos. The northern Bahamas were decimated. Then it moved on towards Grand Bahama Island and Freeport. Never got the actual eye of the hurricane, but they got close to the eye wall, and then that storm just stalled. So the island of Grand Bahama and Freeport, hours upon hours, not like 5 or 6 or 8, we're talking like 24 hours or even more than that of this thing moving basically 4 or 5 miles for more than a day and a half. And that's just devastating to that chain. Now, finally, the good news is it's now moving away from Bahamas, and as it's safer, we can find out the true devastation. I know at least 5 people lost their lives. My fear is that number can go up by a multiple 4 or 5 or more.
So, Paul, it was sort of like the hurricane when it just sat on top of Houston and just kept dropping rain and it didn't move.
Exactly, Harvey, 2 years ago, and we're seeing that that pattern. Unfortunately, with our changing climate, we have a lot more energy in the atmosphere, which leads to basically blocking ridges. So storms tend to move from west to east across the country, but when we have basically extra fuel making more stubborn patterns, it prevents things from moving easily. So these hurricanes are basically heat engines. They're driven by the fact that the equator area, the tropics, gets more energy than the northern areas, or the poles, I should say. So that energy has to move from the tropical regions and then towards the poles, north and southward, depending on the hemisphere. And that's just how our atmosphere and our planet is made up, with the tilt of the earth and all that. So when you have these blocking patterns, well, these things can't move as quickly or as efficiently as they have in the past because they're coming up against things and they just kind of slow down. Harvey, the incredible thing with Harvey a couple of years ago, we looked at some of the models talking about, oh, you can see 20, 30 inches. And we're like, wow, that's kind of up there. And we saw twice that amount of rain, record-setting in Houston. Never, ever have we seen that much rain from a hurricane ever in the U.S. in terms of history of us. But we're seeing this now 2 years later, a stalled-out hurricane damaging. And the last time I can remember a hurricane stalling like that was Hurricane Wilma over the Yucatan of Mexico, Cancun, Cozumel. Those beaches have never fully recovered from more than a day of that hurricane, Cat 4, just sitting there churning over there. If you've ever been to Cancun, the beaches are nothing compared to they were 15 years ago. That's all because of Hurricane Wilma.
Paul, you're in Miami right now?
No, I am in Charleston, South Carolina. You see part of the harbor behind me. We're getting Dorian's closest movement as we head towards Thursday. But starting tomorrow, we'll start seeing and feeling more winds. We'll start here dealing with the storm surge. Charleston, a lot of history. A lot of history with a lot of slave history in this area. History that kind of built this country, starting here in the oldest city in South Carolina. But this is called the Low Country. It's called the Low Country for a reason. You see behind me, you don't see much relief here. It's flat as the eye can see.
Right. And
that's the problem. Charleston's surrounded by the harbor and also fed by 2 rivers on the other 2 sides. So when the storm surge comes in from the Atlantic, it kind of blocks the rivers from exiting out toward the Atlantic. But then if you have heavy rain, which unfortunately is also forecast, then the heavy rain swells the rivers. They push towards the Atlantic. Dorian, with its surge, pushes up and back into the harbor. The rivers meet. The water can't fully go backwards. It goes up and over the land. So we could be dealing with a storm surge 4 to 7 feet on top of high tide. It's already a 5-foot tidal range here between high and low tide. We could see maybe maybe a 10-foot swing. And then you add maybe a couple more feet for surge. So we're going to flood, hands down. The question mark is how much rain do we get, which takes us even into that catastrophic range here. We're hoping the dry air keeps coming in from the mainland from the southeast, and then that starts to eat away the western side of the hurricane. And that's the good news. We're on the western side. We're on the eastern side of the high wall. We'd have a lot more water push back into the harbor, back into the rivers as well.
All right, then. Well, certainly we want our folks in South Carolina, North Carolina to be safe as well. Paul, good luck with the Weather Channel. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Sure thing.
Let's now go to Jacqueline Charles. She's the Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald. Jacqueline, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Your sense of how the Caribbean, namely the Bahamas, has been devastated by Dorian.
This is certainly the most powerful hurricane that the Bahamas has endured, and they are devastated indeed. Earlier today, the Bahamas Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis, led a reconnaissance flight over the Abacos. They're still waiting for the all clear to see what's going on in Grand Bahama. I can tell you I have family in the Bahamas. In fact, they're in Freeport, and we haven't been able to get any information from them. But from the reports that we're hearing, I mean, everything is underwater. People were literally cutting holes in their ceilings and stranded there. They're using jet skis and boats to get people out. And in some cases, when people got to shelter, they had to leave that shelter because it started to take on water. As the Prime Minister said, we build pretty, good houses in the Bahamas, enough to withstand 150 miles per hour winds. But when you have a storm like Dorian, which was packing 165 miles per hour winds and bringing in storm surges of 23 feet, and in some cases waves of 30 feet, the devastation is certainly going to be there. But we need to wait and see to what extent and how much it's going to cost to rebuild this island chain.
We talk about that particular cost there. Also, we're showing some other video right now on social media. Folks, go to my iPad. You can get a sense of the devastation there. Jacqueline, it's not like, look, for the Bahamas, a significant amount of their budget is tourism. And so we saw this happen with St. Thomas. We saw this happen with the previous hurricanes, how tourism is greatly impacted. So when this happens, folks don't come to the islands, don't come to the country. They lose that revenue, makes it harder for them to also rebuild.
You're right. There are 700 islands in the Bahamas, right? But the ironic thing in all of this is the islands that we are seeing that are heavily impacted are the islands that are the tourist draw. Even in New Providence, Nassau, the capital. People woke up yesterday and they were flooded out of their homes because the waters were rising there. Freeport, which is low-lying, has always struggled. And just as a moment where it seems to be getting back and getting the tourism back, they get hit by this devastating storm. So it's going to take a lot to rebuild the Bahamas. But the Prime Minister said yesterday that they are committed to doing it, and they are going to, make sure that they build back better. And we'll have to see.
Also, they announced and if you have the information, an official link if folks want to support. Do you actually have that with you? I saw it on Twitter. I had retweeted it in terms of where folks can actually help.
I don't have the official link, but at MiamiHerald.com, we actually have been writing stories about the relief effort. And I know that the Bahamian officials said that they were going to put something out today because they want to make sure that when you're donating, that you're donating to reputable, charitable organizations. And they want to make sure that the stuff that's being donated are things that are needed and that it reaches. So I know everybody's anxious to help, but I would also just sort of wait a day or two because they really need to start to do some sort of assessment. But there are efforts that are taking place to organize relief efforts. If anybody is in the South Florida area, all of the Miami-Dade fire rescue stations, I believe, are drop-off points. Also, some of the airports, the private airports, Opelika Executive Airport in Fort Lauderdale, there are planes that are lined up, ready to go and take supplies, but they're just waiting for the all clear. So I think we just need to wait. I've covered this issue like with Haiti, and everybody wants to give stuff, and sometimes, we saw with Haiti and Puerto Rico, it just stayed at the port. So I think we just need to wait for some official word from the Bahamian authorities and then follow their lead.
You're right. And folks, here we go to my iPad. We have up right now the Miami Herald story where it says the Bahamas needs help following Hurricane Dorian. Here's how you can donate. And so if you actually go to, we're going to push this link out on social media so you can be able to see it. And so there are a number of entities right here that they have on their website where you can actually give to support what's happening there. And I'll find that tweet that they sent out, where the government of the Bahamas sent it out as well. And so for the rest rest of this week, we'll also be having folks from the Bahamas right here on the show. I've been in contact with government officials there as well because, again, as I said, there are a lot of supporters of this show in the Bahamas, and we want to do all we can to help them. Jacqueline Charles, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks. And so, again, we'll have the information for you on how you can help the folks there in the Bahamas. Look, those are our people. They look like us. We want to make sure that they have our support as well. All right, folks, I want to switch gears. Yesterday, of course, was Labor Day. It is always interesting when people have Labor Day off. They actually forget how Labor Day even came about. It didn't just sort of happen. And some interesting news in terms of where we are in this country. For the first time in more than 50 years, Americans at the highest number in terms of approval of labor unions. According to Gallup poll, their poll showed that 64% of Americans approve of labor unions, surpassing 60% for the third consecutive year and up 16 percentage points from its 2009 low point. That is the highest union approval rating Gallup has recorded over the past 50 years. What does this all mean heading into this election? Joining us right now is AFS-CME President Lee Saunders. Lee, glad to have you back on the show. One of the partners here, Roland Martin Unfiltered. We certainly appreciate that. This was a surprise to a lot of people, highest in 50 years.
I don't think it's a surprise to those that are working in the vineyard every day who are trying to organize and educate and mobilize and our communities across the country. People are fed up and they're angry and they're frustrated. And they see that there is an inequality that exists, an economic inequality that exists all over the country. And the economic system is rigged. It's rigged towards those that have a lot of money. It's rigged toward those that have a lot of power and wealth. And they want more power and wealth at the expense of working people. And working people are saying, hold up, wait up. Wait a minute here. I mean, we have to have a seat at the table. And that's why you see what's happening where people are saying labor unions are the counterforce, are the balance with all of this power and greed that's taking place in this country right now. I would say to you this, Roland, if you're talking to an elected official, 64%, they'd be real happy with 64%. We're happy with 64%, but we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to organize all across the country.
The reason why I would say folks are surprised is because we literally have seen for the last 20, 25 years, and I would say it goes to the election of Ronald Reagan in 1980, this constant assault, demeaning, and degrading of unions. You had folks like, oh no, right to work states. You had all these sort of different, then of course you had the Janus decision by the Supreme Court. But now all of a sudden you're seeing folks who are saying, even people who were union critics years ago who went, wait a minute, hold up. They now are seeing the reality of the decimation of the middle class. They're seeing the impact on low-wage workers. They're now seeing that because America was the nation was told, oh no, a lot of the free enterprise to do what it does, and then that would, rising tide will lift all boats. Now people are saying that didn't work.
Well, trickle-down economics doesn't work. And we see it every single day where the wealthy have more wealth at the expense of working people. That gap is the largest that it has ever been in American history. And people understand that working families need a seat at the table. And the way you get the seat at the table is to join a union. 50% of Americans, if they had the opportunity, are saying that they would join a union to improve their wages, benefits, and working conditions because they understand the effectiveness of working together and coming together as one to deal with the issues that confront our communities every single day.
We discussed this a couple of times previously. But do you also think that the attacks on unions and the election of Trump forced unions, not just your union, but in terms of the union lobby across the country, to go, you know what, we better start telling our own story because, we discussed it before. The biggest criticism that I've had is that labor unions allowed themselves to be defined by their opponents and did not have an effective narrative to counter their critics.
We had to get back to basics. The labor movement had to get back to basics. one of the ways in which we get back to basics is to talk with our members, talk to our potential members, have a discussion with them, listen to what they've got to say, and then promote the kinds of activities. Promote the kinds of good things that unions do all across the country, having a seat at the table, being able to not only improve the lives of our members, but improve the lives of their families and folks living in their communities all across the country. Explain and talk about that narrative and say that that seat is being taken away from you. It's being taken away from you to make you and your families and your communities weaker, and we can't stand for it. People are coming together. This is a movement moment, and you've heard me say this before, where folks from all walks of life are coming together saying, whoa, enough is enough. This is unfair, the economy is rigged, and we've got to do something about it to fix it.
Yesterday, Trump, instead of focusing on hurricanes, he was, and also between him playing golf, decided to attack the head of the AFL-CIO, complaining, saying union dues are way too high. And so what do you make of, again, on Labor Day, Trump playing golf, attacking unions, the folks who actually created Labor Day?
We've got to concentrate on what we do best, and that is organizing and educating and mobilizing our members and our communities across the country. We are preparing, just as we did in 2018, and we had major victories in 2018, electoral victories. We're preparing for 2019 and 2020. We're going to be putting boots on the ground. Our folks will be familiar with what's going on. They're going to be educated about what's happening to working families across this country, and we're going to have a massive campaign in education, but also getting people out to vote. Very, very important.
What are your trade union folks saying in places like Ohio, where Hillary Clinton lost by 450,000 votes? A ton of union people supported Trump because of his criticism of NAFTA. We saw the exact same thing. A lot of union workers who voted for Obama in 2008, 2012, who chose to vote for Trump in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. What conversations are being had? What are they saying that they're going to do? Those auto workers. Trump talked about bringing it back, but that hasn't happened. Steel workers, he claims they're building new steel mills. They're not. And so what discussions are being had with those union leaders to say, how are you going to go directly to your people and say, you voted against your own interest in the last election?
What's the reality now? One thing that we have now that we didn't have in 2015 and 2016 was Trump now has a track record. He made a lot of promises to working people. A lot of folks fell for those promises. But now, you've got a track record. He has a track record. You go to Lordstown, right outside of Youngstown in Ohio, and you talk to those workers about the promises that he made in keeping that plant open. And if you recall, he made the statement, don't sell your homes because you're going to be just fine. The plant closed. You can replicate that story in state after state after state. Promises broken. We've got to educate our folks and working families saying he promised a lot, but he didn't deliver on anything. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Also, in this way, tomorrow is our first anniversary of this show. And in the course, we ran the numbers. So in the last year, we've done about 70 million views across all three platforms, increased our YouTube channel by more than 200,000. And so we certainly appreciate AFSCME being one of our founding partners in helping us do this, because part of the piece is also being able to have communication apparatus and supporting media that understands these issues, that speaks to our people.
You're getting a message out, a very, very important message out to our community. People need to hear it, and we're going to continue to support you. So, in fact, that message continues to get out there, and we do what we must do to change this country and move this country forward.
Because 2020 is going to be critical, and the concern that I have is that we saw it in 2016. Your mainstream media outlets showing empty podiums of Trump and whatever kind of crazy thing that he said, but not hearing from and speaking to the very people who are most impacted by this public policy.
I think that you have a message machine, Roland, I really do, and we've got to target our communities to impress upon them the importance of this election and the issues that impact on them and what could happen if we continue down this direction. So we support what you're doing. I think that you've got to go into these communities in every city okay? And sit down and talk with young black men, okay? With older black men. Talk to communities of color and explain to them and talk to them and listen to them about the issues that are confronting them every single day, and then draw a conclusion and bring them together saying the only way that you can deal with this is collectively coming together and making your voices heard. One of the ways you make your voices heard is to get out there, register to vote, but also to vote. We have this opportunity. That's why it is a movement moment, and you have a key place in moving that message with the people who listen to you, just as unions have a key place in moving that message, okay? And putting boots on the ground and educating folks so we understand what's at stake next year.
Well, we're definitely going to do that, just like we were in Memphis in last year, MLK 50, and then, of course, 2017. And then we are definitely going to be, in terms of pushing, going to those places, because I think we also have to connect the dots. And we talked the same thing about before. A lot of people don't understand in terms of what happens with this particular race, how it impacts something way over here. We're going to discuss in a moment what happened in North Carolina, where 3 judges have now ruled that they're a complete redrawing of all districts in North Carolina because of political gerrymandering. How that, and the work of Reverend Barber and others to change the state Supreme Court. So now if they appeal the decision, you now have a democratically controlled state Supreme Court who's more likely going to rule in favor, keep that court ruling. So people who only think about D.C. have to understand that when you talk about mobilizing and organizing, it impacts these state races and local races.
Well, and let me say this, and that's our neighborhood. That's where our folks live, their families live, our communities. Those down ballot races are just as important as the races that are taking place nationally and here, congressionally, Senate-wise. Those down ballot races are just as important as a presidential race. Okay, you've got to elect a friendly governor. You've got to elect a friendly state legislature who believes in supporting working families.
And courts.
Supporting our communities. And courts, the appointment in those courts. Well, you can elect in some state Supreme Courts. But that's one thing that people don't think about.
Republicans do.
Look what they do. Look what Trump has been able to do with his friends on Capitol Hill as far as appointing justices, okay? Appointing judges in states that are going to be there for a long time, who are going to be carrying their philosophy. That should scare everybody. And that should at least tell us that we've got to organize ourselves to combat that kind of activity, because the kinds of decisions they're going to be making are going to impact on us for years and years and years.
We're certainly looking forward over the next year. Your commentary is right here on the show, and also, of course, our American Worker segment, which we also get some great stories that you guys have done with AFSCME about folks out there do stuff on the ground. So it's been good to feature those individuals and showing other folks what they're doing and the great work that they're doing.
They're the everyday heroes in public service.
Absolutely. Lisanos, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother.
All right, folks, got to take a break right now. We come back. We're going to talk with our panel about impacts of unions in this election and also what's happening in North Carolina when it comes to gerrymandering. All of that next. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, folks, this Friday, if you're going to be in Atlanta, I'll be there. You don't want to miss me at the Ride Money in Motion Conference at the Loudermilk Center, moderating a panel about access and ownership, sponsored by Banji, the only African-American-owned publicly traded cannabis organization in the world. I'll be on the panel. Matthew Knowles, Bonita Money, Ryan Mack, and the whole Banji family will be front and center discussing entry into the multi-billion-dollar and growing cannabis industry and how you can become a distributor, shareholder, or cannabis landlord. If you're interested in making money in this booming industry, then I promise you don't want to miss this. Our panel is going to be at 2:30, but for a full list of other panels, activations, and tickets, please visit ride.rollingout.com. Ride.rollingout.com. And so you don't want to miss it again. As this Friday in Atlanta, and you certainly don't want to miss it. I want you guys to be there because why? Everybody keeps talking about expungement, which is critically important, but this is a $340 billion global industry, and black folks should be on the front end of making money when it comes to cannabis, as opposed to us having to spend money because our people were thrown in jail for selling it. And so, again, we certainly want to have you guys at that. And so that's taking place again this Friday in Atlanta. So please don't miss it. All right, folks, I want to bring in my panel right now. I want to have a conversation about what we just talked about with Lee Saunders and, again, unions and their impact. Joining me right now, of course, is Malik Abdul. He is Vice President, Black Conservative Federation. Kelly Bethea, Communications Strategist. Dr. Jason Nichols, African American Studies, University of Maryland. Anybody surprised at that Gallup poll? That highest number in 50 years, 64% of Americans approving of labor unions?
It's not, it wasn't too surprising to me when we just look at historically when labor unions have been most popular. And as I was reading in that particular article, it talked about the fact that when the economy is generally doing well, people tend to appreciate labor unions more because for various reasons, I don't know. But that is something that over time you've actually seen. And I think they pointed to a low period in that I think maybe it was from 2009 to 2012 or something, but that was really coming right out of the recession. So it seems like that may be the sort of ebb and flow. I don't know how far those.
Yeah, but we're talking about the highest number in 50 years here, Kelly. And to me, what we're seeing, first of all, the steady increase over the last 15, 20 years. I think what has happened is people have finally woken up and stopped accepting the bullshit from corporations that let us do whatever we want to do. Trust me, you're going to get the money back. And people realize, wait a minute, we're out here busting our ass. Productivity is at an all-time high. Wages have been suppressed. And y'all are sitting here making all the damn money and workers are not. That is, I think people are now understanding why unions have played a role in growing the middle class for demanding and fighting for better wages and benefits.
That makes perfect sense to me, especially, like you said, in a time where productivity is at all-time high. But now, the fact that we're at its highest in this year during this particular presidency, a president who does not necessarily advocate for the working man the way that he's supposed to be advocating for him. He looks like it. You know, he'll go to Texas, the Bible Belt, and other rallies and make it look like he's advocating for blue collar and other industries that are tailored or are used to labor unions, but he's not for them really. So when you're in that kind of predicament, I can see why it's at an all-time high, because nobody really feels like they're being heard, especially at corporations like the ones that Trump has.
Jason, union membership at a high 28%, 1954. Today it's 11%.
Right.
Republicans can't stand unions. Just 80% of Democrats support unions. Right. 45% of Republicans approve of unions, 62% of independents. And I think what you're also seeing when you talk about unions is, again, Republicans have always had this pro-business agenda supported by the Chamber of Commerce and others, and they have been folks who have absolutely been against labor unions.
No, absolutely. And I think Lee Saunders broke it down pretty well when he said that they have been the people who have advocated for trickle-down economics. The idea that if you make the wealthy very wealthy, then they're going to spread the wealth down. And right now, when we're, pretty much at full employment, we see wages haven't grown. And I think that that's something that frustrates your average American. I think also, even though teachers' unions have been body slammed over, the last decade, we see that a lot of teachers can't pay their bills, and that's something that, that labor unions have advocated for. And, me, again, being somebody who studies history, when we look at the civil rights movement, you can make an argument that it was a labor union, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, that actually started the civil rights movement, or at least was a major force in it with A. Philip Randolph. So I think you're going to see them start to slowly grow. I don't know that they'll ever make it back to the numbers that they were in the 1950s. But you're going to see that. And when labor unions increase, so does voter participation. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think is important right now.
Well, and also I think you have to make a distinction when you talk about unions, because let's just be clear. Republicans love police unions.
Absolutely.
Fire unions.
Yeah.
Trade unions. They can't stand teachers unions.
Right.
They can't stand SEIU. They can't stand AFSCME. American Federation of County, State, Municipal Employees. And so when you talk about union support, it all depends on what that union is because, again, Trump loves touting his police view because guess what? Police unions are typically pro-Republican, very conservative. And so that's why when people talk about unions, you got to break down because you had all these trade unions who were all excited when Trump was like, oh, we're going to build an infrastructure. They were thinking jobs, jobs, jobs. Ain't happening, Malik.
Well,
ain't happening at all.
Are you surprised that there are some contradictions in our politics?
No, it's not contradictions. No. What I'm explaining here's what I'm explaining. When people hear the word union, a lot of times people think that means pro-democratic or progressive or liberal. What I'm trying to say is, no, there are different unions out there. And so a lot of people get confused by that when they hear that phrase because so within the union movement, you got to deal with the reality that there are white men who are conservative, who are also anti-black, who are racist, who are bigots. Okay, trade unions historically have not wanted black folks in there, those high-paying jobs, and so you got to go beyond that umbrella term and say, no, what type of union we talking about?
Well, yeah, I think that it's fair to talk about the complexities of people's positions on certain things, but I think you just acknowledged that, yes, Republicans do support unions. They may support certain
unions.
So they may support certain unions over the others. So I don't think that it's fair to say that Republicans cannot stand unions. It's just, as you said, it just depends on exactly what it is.
Overall, the numbers don't lie. 55% of Republicans don't like unions.
I think we're now in double-digit improvement when I was looking at that particular article in Republicans who actually support unions. So it seems like that there's just a continuing trend across the board.
Yeah, because also there's some broke-ass Republicans out there who keep voting, who also realize that I've been voting against my economic interests for all this time. I might want to believe in the concept of collective bargaining and having some rights and also health care, things along those lines.
That's an interesting perspective.
No, it ain't interesting. That's real. That's real. That's what's going on. So you got folks in South Carolina and Mississippi and North Carolina and Georgia who got sold that bill of goods about right to work, and all of a sudden it was kind of like, but also you got a right to get fired without any, all that.
Now realizing that they are not going to be rich like they've been promised, so now they have
they shouldn't have believed that.
Well,
but they were promised that.
Doing.
Well, nobody's going to. Very few people become rich. So
no. But wait a minute. That's what your party was promising.
Well, if my party were promising that people were
not
rich. We probably should not have taken that seriously.
I mean, that's what Donald Trump actually kind of won on.
I don't think Donald Trump won that he was going to make people rich.
Donald Trump won by saying, I'm going to bring the jobs back. They're going to stay here. What Lee just said, hey, don't worry about y'all homes. All is good. We're going to rebuild these cities. We're going to build steel mills. We're going to build coal plants.
That's not being rich.
No, hold up. I'm saying there's a difference between having a steady paycheck and losing it. You got these coal miners in West Virginia who all of a sudden 2 weeks ago found out they were out of jobs, and then when they tried to cash those last checks, they all bounced. But Trump and his coal buddies haven't said anything. I wonder why. All right, y'all, let's talk about North Carolina. Today, a 3-judge panel issued a major ruling dealing with the issue of political gerrymandering, a massive 357-page opinion where they have struck down the state's House and Senate seats, saying the state must have until September 18th to redraw all of them in time for 2020. They said it was partisan gerrymandering. Republicans, they have lost. Folks, let me tell you how they've been fighting this. Let me tell you something. There's no more evil and sinister group of Republicans in America than those in North Carolina. These people are pure trash in North Carolina, and how they have tried to upend democracy as best that they could, rewrite the rules, and how they have targeted black folks and others. Well, guess what? This is the 22nd time a state or federal court has ruled in gerrymandering. That shows you what's going on there, folks. Let's go right now to Tomas Lopez, Executive Director of Democracy North Carolina. And Tomas, obviously, this is a huge decision because the Supreme Court ruled that they had really no jurisdiction. They really couldn't get involved in this, basically saying Whatever the states decide, that's up to you. Now you have this court in North Carolina saying redraw every single House and Senate race there. For people who don't understand, Republicans have used that power to have a supermajority in North Carolina. This changes the whole ballgame.
That's right. You know, the background here is that we had maps that were drawn in 2011 that were litigated several times. There was a ruling that a federal court came out with a few years ago that said those state House, state Senate maps were unlawful racial gerrymanders. And so in 2017, they had to draw new maps. Those new maps, they said, we are drawing these not for racial purposes, but to favor Republicans over Democrats. They were very explicit in saying this. Even the legislators said it themselves. And these were the maps that were challenged in court. These were the maps that were challenged in this case. And these are the ones that this North Carolina court panel has now said are unlawful under the North Carolina Constitution.
And look, the Democrats control the state Supreme Court. Republicans, again, they tried to even screw that around by trying to they literally tried to take a lot of their power and give it to the court below them, as opposed to them being the highest court in North Carolina. And so what do you think the response from Republicans is going to be?
Well, you know, they've actually already said that they are not going to appeal this ruling. They are not appealing the ruling, and the Senate president has put out a statement saying, we're going to go ahead and draw what they're saying will be nonpartisan maps. Now, what the court has done is they said, listen, you have 2 weeks, General Assembly, to draw new maps, and you have to do it in a public way. And so one of the things that all of us in North Carolina are going to be doing is watching this process, hopefully weighing in as well. But what the court is also doing is appointing a referee, a special master, to help evaluate those maps and, if necessary, draw their own.
And let's be clear here. By the court saying it has to be open, because you have had consistent efforts in the past where Republicans have done stuff behind closed doors and literally dropped it in Democrats' lap saying, y'all got 24 hours and then we're going to pass it in 48 hours.
That's right. One of the things that is important here, and it came up during the case, right, were these documents that were from Thomas Hoffler, the former guru who drew many maps around the country and was based here in North Carolina. You know, this feeling they were being cooked up in a back room and presented as a final deal. Here, these maps that are supposed to be drawn in the next couple of weeks, they are supposed to be done in a way where the public is going to have it say, we'll see what that ends up looking like. And again, I wouldn't understate the importance of this special referee, this special master that the court is also going to bring in as well.
And again, last one here for you, Tomas. Again, this was a common cause lawsuit. And I know there was some differences of opinion there because the courts had already ruled on racial gerrymandering. This was political gerrymandering. The case that went to the Supreme Court was one about political gerrymandering. And I know there were people in North Carolina who felt that they should have focused on racial gerrymandering, and that's what gave the Supreme Court an out, if you will, by saying we really can't speak on political gerrymandering.
Right. There have been some lawsuits in North Carolina that just recently, right, and again in the last couple of years, have invalidated districts on the basis of racial gerrymandering. One of the challenges, and I think one of the reasons you've seen these partisan gerrymandering lawsuits is because what the legislators have attempted to do at times is to say, well, we're not discriminating on the basis of race, we're discriminating on the basis of party. And so that's created this opening to go on and try to pursue a different way. What is really good about today's ruling now is that you now have, under North Carolina law, racial gerrymandering is prohibited and partisan gerrymandering is prohibited. So you've got two potential routes now for challenging maps moving forward.
All right, then. Tomas Lopez, Executive Director of Democracy North Carolina. Congratulations. Again, y'all have been doing an amazing job. You're a nonpartisan group, but you've been trying to get people to understand you can't have Republicans or Democrats trying to stack the deck in that state. If you want to win, do it fair and square, and don't sit here and try to rig the game. And so y'all have been doing some great work, and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're on my panel here. Melik, that's a big slap down to your party.
Well, it's to the Republicans in North Carolina.
That's your party.
Well,
are you a Republican?
Yes, but our party does not. It's not the party of voter suppression.
Yes, you are.
No, we're
you are the party of voter suppression. What the hell are you talking about? You are the party of voter suppression.
This is what's happening in North Carolina. Our party. That
would you like for me to bring up? I'm sorry. Would you like me to bring up Alabama and Texas
apparatus
and Florida?
Does not have anything about voter suppression in any of the documents. So it's not something.
Really?
While it may be something that Republicans actually do, this is not something that is wholly supported by the Republican Party.
Has the Republican Party spoken out against any of this?
Well, not
yes or no?
Not speaking out against something.
No.
Promoting things.
So
to that point, the Republican Party. So I'm talking about the Republican
Party. No, I'm asking Melek. Has the Republican Party? Has the Republican Party? Can you even show me a tweet where the Republican Party has actually said that actions in North Carolina are wrong?
Whether it does or not, our party, as a party, does not support voter suppression.
Yes, you do.
No, we do not.
You do it? Wait a minute. You do it in Texas.
No, we do not.
And in Florida.
And in
Maine.
This is not something
your party... Kelly, the Republican Party is all about voter suppression.
No, we're not.
Wait a minute. Right now, Democrats are warning people in Ohio right now, okay, to double check your status because they're going to purge some 200,000 people. Why? Because Republicans in Ohio came up with the whole deal on how to purge people. A white man sued them because they said, oh, you haven't voted in the last couple of elections, so therefore we're taking your name off the rolls. Went to the Supreme Court. That conservative Supreme Court agreed with Ohio, which now do the purging. The purging of voters in Georgia, largely impacting black voters. That's voter suppression. So again, I can go state by state, Kelly, and show how Republicans and how Ronald Romney McDaniel ain't said jack.
So
Trump ain't said jack.
Anything, that means she supports it?
If you don't say nothing, you damn sure agree with it.
Well,
Kelly, go ahead.
Your characterization
Kelly, go ahead.
of it, Roland.
That's not a characterization.
Yes,
that is exactly what it is. So if I don't say that, if I don't agree with something and I don't verbalize anything about it, then it is going to be what it is. So the Republicans aren't saying anything about voter suppression. Instead, they are letting other Republicans suppress votes.
Well, I don't think there's any evidence that the actual political apparatus of the party is allowed that to happen.
Wait a minute.
No,
silence is an action.
Jason, you know what's so funny about this here? There are Republican members from North Carolina. There are Republicans who sit on the Republican National Committee. They ain't said a damn thing about what the Republicans in North Carolina are doing.
Well, has anybody asked them?
Hell yes. Yes.
I gotta say,
yes. Jason, go ahead. I know it's hilarious.
I think number one, we know the Republicans are the party of voter ID. They're a party of many different efforts to suppress votes. Of course, closing
Stacey
down.
Abrams lost because of all this mess.
No, Stacey Abrams lost because she lost.
No, they closed down.
That's what she likes to say.
They
closed down.
That's what she likes to say.
Voting
She's just
sites
a sore loser.
in predominantly black communities. So that was specifically targeted by the Kemp campaign. Now, beyond that, if you are doing the monkey emoji, the monkey. You know what I mean?
Hear no evil.
Then you are actually guilty of being complicit.
La 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 la. I hear nothing. La 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 la. I don't want to hear it.
That's just not even a reasonable way
How often do I have to hear from Republicans, whether it's on Sinclair or whether it's on Fox or wherever, how often do I have to hear, why aren't you going to call this out by Democrats? Whatever it is. If any Democrat does anything anywhere in America, they are expecting Democrats to call it out. But yet, we see where state Republican parties are clearly trying to suppress black votes. And now we're saying, well,
hold on. But this ain't just black. No. They trying to suppress young voters.
Right.
Hell, elderly voters.
Didn't they do something regarding colleges and not trying to have people
ending
register
early voting
at their dorms?
Oh my God! First of all, the reason Malik needs to stop trying to be a troll right now.
It's not being a troll.
Malik, your party
on your show.
Your party literally.
You want me to own things about my party that I'm just not willing to own.
I don't want you to own it. I want you to be honest.
You saying that
I want you to stop lying.
Is the party of voter suppression?
They are.
It's not something that I'm going to accept. I disagree. I disagree.
When a federal judge,
with voter suppression,
when federal judges rule, when federal judges rule that North Carolina Republicans targeted black folks with a laser-like approach,
Republicans in North Carolina.
I did not hear a single peep out of any national Republican calling it an abomination, saying that is wrong, saying that is undemocratic, saying that is unfair.
I don't know if they said it or not.
No, they didn't. Hold up. We've covered it. We've covered it, and they ain't said nothing. Kelly, go ahead.
The fact that this case made it all the way to a court also shows just how much time it took for it to get there. This was not an easy thing. This was not a quick thing,
Kelly,
which also
this was the 22nd time
that's what I'm saying.
A state or federal court has said, y'all, this some damn gerrymandering.
And that's what I'm trying to say. So all of this evidence and no evidence of Republicans saying, hey, don't do that. In fact, we have the opposite. We have
I don't know if that's true or not. That's probably an exaggeration.
Republicans saying
so no Republican has ever spoken out about any of this.
Hold up. Wait. Hold up. Malik, I'll help you out. When Colin Powell was invited to North Carolina by the previous governor, who was a Republican, Colin Powell called out the Republican governor and Republicans' efforts to suppress the vote.
I remember that.
Republicans got mad at him. Let me say this again, y'all, because again, I've been covering this issue since I've had a national show in 2009. Okay, I got NABJ's National Journalist of the Year because of my coverage on voter suppression. So I ain't sitting here just throwing stuff out. Let me get y'all to understand how callous, how evil, and how sick the Republican Party of North Carolina is. Now the National Republican Party has said nothing. Federal court rule, laser-like precision, targeting black voters. Republicans in North Carolina asked for the data to show when do black people vote early. They showed that 70% of African Americans voted in the first week of early voting. Guess what the Republicans in North Carolina did? They stripped nearly all early voting in the state until reduced it to one location in each county in the first week. This is the same party that also moved early voting locations off of college campuses because they were like, too many of them who are voting. This is the same party. North Carolina, y'all, used to be on the bottom. Just so y'all understand, North Carolina used to be on the bottom of voter participation. 2008, Obama runs, wins North Carolina by 14,100 votes, flips that whole state. Republicans like, oh, hell no. They immediately begin to change the rules, aided by winning in 2010. In North Carolina, they used to have actually civic classes that would teach North Carolinians who were 16 and 17 to prepare them when they turn 18. Republicans in North Carolina got rid of the classes, okay? Voter ID, we can go down the line. What happened there? Now, why is Malik wrong about his whole party? Because his party saw what North Carolina did. So guess what? Texas did their own deal, led by Republicans there. Alabama, Maine. Let me tell you what they did in Maine. In Maine, they had automatic same-day registration. If you voted, when you went and vote, the Republicans in Maine got rid of it. Y'all, they didn't ask nobody. They just got rid of it. The voters in Maine said, what the hell is this? Put it back on the ballot the next election and voted it back in. I can show you state by state how Republicans have tried to manipulate the vote. Y'all, do y'all forget 2012 when the Obama campaign had to sue Ohio when we're in Board of Elections in Ohio where Republicans had a majority? They extended the voting hours in Ohio, but in the counties where we had Democrats, they actually limited. They got sued, and the Secretary of State, Republican, He had to admit in court, yeah, that's kind of unfair to have extended voting hours in Republican counties and shorter voting hours in Democratic counties. We can go, Florida, again, we can walk this thing down state by state. The Republican Party fully embraces voter suppression and all of those tactics. And see, what Mellick wants to do is play games by saying, oh no, there's no sheet of paper that says we love voter suppression. Folks, I can judge you by your actions. And the reality is, your party, as a party, has not said jack. Not Reince Priebus, not Roland McDaniel Romney, none of them. Not Trump, because you know why? Y'all benefit from voter suppression, and that's why your party supports it.
Well, I don't know if that's the answer or not, but as I've said on this show, I don't support any effort to suppress the vote.
Right, you don't, but your party does.
As a member of the party, I do know that I do not own the fact that that's something that the party does.
But Mellick, you can say it's not right.
It's not a
Mellick, you can say it's not right, and I'm cool with that, but you can't be in denial about your party.
Support that. And there are people that I know in the party who also don't support.
Guess what? And none of y'all are the RNC chair.
Well,
none of y'all are the vice chair.
Well, ask them their opinions on it.
We have.
Ask them their
Mellick, I had Reince Priebus
not just
on the Tom Joyner Morning
media
Show,
apparatus
and
out
we
there.
have.
Why
you know
don't
what?
they ask them
they have
about those issues?
And they all
Fox,
support it.
All of them. They all support
because they all support it.
I don't represent the RNC.
Your party supports it.
They should ask them those questions if they.
Your party supports it. I'm going to go to a break, y'all, right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about Mellick State of Mississippi. Well, Christians in Mississippi, y'all can't have no wedding in our place of business, not with a black man and a white woman. Oh, no, you didn't. That's next on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Gerald Albright, he's going to be one of the folks performing in Cabo for the Life Luxe Jazz Experience, folks. It's going to be unbelievable. November 7th through the 11th. Of course, we're going to have top-notch music in an upscale destination. Folks, it's going to be taking place the weekend-long event. It's going to be at the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos. You see it right behind me. Nestled on the Sea of Cortez and the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. We're going to offer ultimate getaway for discerning jazz aficionados, folks. You're going to have, again, music and food and drink and all this fun stuff. Golf, spa, fitness, you name it. It's going to be fantastic. And in addition, I'll be doing Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday. Some of the biggest names in jazz are going to be there, folks. Among the people who are already confirmed, comedian actor Mark Curry, as I said, Gerald Albright, Alex Bougnong, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, my man Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. Folks, we're going to have a fantastic time. And, of course, my birthday is actually about 3 days after the festival's over, so we can make it a birthday thing. And so I want y'all to come out to Cabo, folks, November 7th through the 11th. For more information right now, go to lifeluxjazz.com. Look, some of y'all going to be in Chicago, Minneapolis. Y'all going to be on the East Coast, freezing your ass off, so you know you want to have some sun and fun. So come on down to Cabo with me and the folks with Life Luxe Jazz, November 7th through the 11th. For more information, go to lifeluxjazz.com. That's LuxeJazz.com. It's going to be fantastic. I guarantee it. All right, folks. Mississippi. Lord have mercy. The owner of a wedding venue in Boonville, Mississippi, is now apologizing after turning away a couple who wanted to get married there when she found out the bride is a white woman and the groom is black. Press play.
First of all, we don't do gay weddings or mixed race. Okay, so why not?
Because of our Christian race. I mean, our Christian belief.
Okay, we're Christians as well. So,
Yes,
what in the Bible tells you that?
Well, I don't want to argue my faith.
No, that's
But
fine.
we just don't participate.
Okay.
We just choose not to.
Okay, so that's your Christian belief, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
LaCambria Welch, the sister of the groom, confronted the owner. And again, she said, our Christian race, our Christian beliefs. And the unidentified woman has since apologized, and the city of Boonville mayor and the Board of Aldermen issued a statement saying they do not discriminate on the basis of race, religion, gender, age, national origin, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, or military status. Melek, what the hell is up with your state? With your white Christian?
This is a very unfortunate case in such a great state, Mississippi. I clearly. It seems as if in this particular case that things took care of itself. It's unfortunate that they had to cancel their plans to have a wedding at that venue, but the fact that the mayor, and I think it was someone else that you mentioned, of Boonsville actually came out and talked about the fact that they don't endorse or condone any sort of discrimination. That just speaks to the great history, the great way that we've come.
He don't want to bring up.
The great way that we have come.
You heard him, Jason, say. You heard her say our Christian race. I'm sorry, our Christian belief.
Right.
Then when the sister get it, we Christians too. Well, I ain't trying to argue Bible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was just despicable, and I hope, that no one else of color. And certainly, it's
hell, nobody.
Nobody, exactly.
White folks shouldn't get married there.
Yeah,
and I imagine that
shut them down.
That's exactly what will happen.
It reminds me of, I believe it was Thurgood Marshall when they said, "Do you advocate Negroes not shopping at these chain stores?" He said, "No, I advocate that American citizens not do that." And I think that whatever that company is and wherever that place is,
it's like I know that the social media for this particular venue has shut down. She took down the apology, I think, because in the apology, and I quote, says, biracial relationships were never mentioned in the Bible. That's her claim to why she thinks these things. First of all, she's wrong.
Yeah, I mean...
She's like, really wrong. Moses' wife is arguably black. Because
Queen of Sheba.
Moses
Jesus black.
Jesus black. But I'm just talking about just like, core things, like just Old Testament stuff that a lot of evangelicals really adhere to. Not the, love your neighbor as yourself part, not the do unto others part, but just the traditional things. Like Miriam, Moses' sister, actually was cursed by God.
You gonna wait.
I know, I'm a nerd.
You ain't got to go that deep. This is a racist white woman.
It's just...
This is a racist white woman.
And it took care of itself, it seems like.
It didn't take care of itself.
That's what it seems
those
like.
people were humiliated.
Well, of course they were humiliated. And then post-humiliation, look at what we had. They were condemned.
You have a racist state. That's what you have.
But, I don't have a racist...
We have many racist states.
I don't live in a racist state.
But you got that Confederate symbol on your flag.
I don't live in a racist state.
That's right,
because you live in D.C. That's right, because
you don't live in a state.
The fact that you East Coast elitists have a problem.
Actually, who the hell is East Coast? Kelly, where you from? Kelly, where you from?
Mid-Atlantic.
Kelly, where you from?
I'm from here.
Where you from, Jason?
Elitists.
I'm from here.
And then, I'm sorry.
And then you being an elitist
from New York.
now.
Hold on, how the hell is I'm a mid-Atlantic elitist and my ass from Houston?
But because you share some of those elitists.
Your ass live in D.C.
And what does that have to do with
You know what you are? A mid-Atlantic elitist. Let me go to my next damn story. Boy, cut that bullshit out. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot did not come to play with Senator Ted Cruz. The Republican senator from Texas tweeted that gun control doesn't work and pointed to Chicago as evidence that disarming law-abiding citizens isn't the answer. Lightfoot responded by tweeting some facts for Cruz and ended the Twitter battle by telling him, quote, keep our name out of your mouth. And you probably scared to even go to Chicago. Dana Holcomb is calling out American Airlines for kicking him off a flight so a dog could sit in first class during a trip to Austin, Texas from a 53rd birthday celebration in Vegas. Holcomb was confirmed to fly in first class on American Airlines Flight 691 after a layover in Phoenix. While on the flight, he discovered the passenger traveling beside him was accompanied by her pet support dog. Holcomb is allergic to dogs and started to have a reaction. The pet owner offered to change seats with someone else in first class, but the flight crew got involved. He was asked to move to the back of the plane. By the time the dog's owner found a passenger to exchange seats with Holcomb, Security had been called, escorted him off the plane in Phoenix without his luggage or medication. He said he had to find his own way home. But I gotta ask you this: what's up with these people in these servers? Did y'all see this damn pony? This pony horse, whatever the hell. This woman had a pony horse on the plane. Look, okay. If your ass need a pony horse to fly, take the damn bus.
Right.
Yeah, this is.
I'm about tired of these people and these weird ass support animals. Like it's not.
It was a pony.
Yeah, it was.
Yo, this thing is. I'm telling you.
So
okay.
This is something that and I imagine that, as we continue to have these sort of incidents, that the airlines are going to more and more. I think Delta was one recently who clarified their emotional support, because what has been happening is that, their service animals.
Here it is.
And then emotional.
Go to my iPad.
Oh my God, that's a donkey.
Yes.
Mercy.
That's unbelievable.
That's a damn pony horse on a plane right behind first class.
And the fact that the airlines even had to make an allowance.
But this isn't
for
the animal that he had to
No,
use.
that's a different story.
Now, does the pony have a diaper on? Because what if that pony poops?
Well, I guess it's the same. It's like a dog.
I'm just.
I can't even think that far ahead.
Yo, I'm serious.
But the fact that they had to allow, that they had no discretion, the airlines apparently had no discretion to say, look, that's a whole donkey. Right. You can't bring the donkey.
It's not a donkey, it's a pony horse.
Pony horse, whatever the thing is.
There is a difference.
Well, that's a whole pony horse. You can't bring that bad boy.
Look, I know some people who have post-traumatic stress disorder.
But here's the deal.
It's a real thing.
I think having a support dog.
Hold up. Watch this here. The number. Go to my iPad. The number of passengers flying with emotional support animals has nearly doubled. From 561,000 in 2016 to more than 1 million in 2018, according to the estimates from Airlines for America.
Doesn't surprise
me. Now look, man. Look, if flying is that rough, get your ass on a bus. Take a car.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. No, there does need to be precautions regarding emotional support.
Do you know how crazy this thing has gotten with animals?
It has gotten insane.
Insane.
Somebody had a peacock once,
I get that
believe.
part. I totally understand that sentiment, but at the same time, you have to recognize that mental health issues are real, and that some of these animals, like dogs and cats and things that can actually be on planes that have been naturally, or not naturally, but traditionally able to be on planes with passengers.
Go to my iPad. Here another one.
I have a question, though.
This is another one. Go to my iPad.
Yeah, see, that's a lot.
See?
But at the same time, if that's allowed...
Jason, go ahead.
Is it... So... Do you have to provide any kind of evidence that this is an emotional support?
And that's a letter for your doctor. They actually have a certificate. Yeah.
Okay.
That you can travel with you.
I can see people wanting to bring their dogs.
Okay, hold on. So here's a story from Fortune. Department of Transportation. Y'all, and this is some bullshit. I'm sorry. DOT clears pit bulls, miniature horses to fly as service animals. A damn pit bull.
Well, here's the thing about pit bulls, though. Because I'm not even an animal advocate. I want to be clear about that. But that's what I'm saying, because Maryland tried to do the anti-pit thing, and...
What's a good dog?
Yeah, a pit. What's wrong?
Hold on. Let me explain you what I know about pit bull. A pit bull is a pit bull. Pit bulls have mauled their own damn owners.
But my thing is...
That's because you're thinking about the pit bulls that have been trained to maul people.
Exactly.
If you train a pit bull, they are the sweetest animals. Same thing with Rottweilers.
Yep.
So here's a little more.
Same thing with Rottweilers.
Here's a little more.
Y'all out y'all damn mind.
No, I'm serious.
Here's a little more.
Tell y'all right now, if your ass fly with me and a pit bull or Rottweiler with your ass, you ain't sitting. Matter of fact, we ain't on the plane. You getting your ass off.
Nah, it's when you
as
train them
as someone who actually owns a pit bull named Magnus, a 4-year-old red-nosed pit bull. He actually is my ESA.
Yo, what?
He's my emotional support animal.
What the hell? You can't fly by yourself?
I don't use.
What's
I don't
wrong?
Take him. I don't. Well, Roland, I'm not going to talk about that.
What's wrong? You can't fly by yourself?
But
well, all emotional support animals aren't on planes. So
yeah,
you need
which
it
is
for
the point
other
that I was
things.
trying to make.
Yeah.
I can actually take him.
You can't go nowhere by yourself?
I can take him on the train. I can take him on the plane. I can take him in any store.
Is it pit bull?
My
Go to my
85-pound
iPad.
pit
Last year, however, Delta Airlines banned pit bull type dogs from its cabins on domestic flights after 2 employees were bit by a dog that was labeled as an emotional support animal.
And that wasn't a properly trained emotional
Yes,
support.
absolutely. But I still would not take my dog. But I wouldn't take my dog to any of
improperly
those
trained
places because I don't
emotional
believe
support
that they
animal.
I
belong
mean, that's a
there.
fact, though. That's a fact.
Like, I'm a dog owner, and I don't even like dogs at restaurants. So that's
exactly.
just
So again, I don't have any pets right now. Like I'm completely petless. But what I will say is, one, mental health is a real thing that needs to be addressed, and for some, emotional support animals are a key in their mental health. So that said, if you need an emotional support animal on a plane, that should be allowed within reason. I can understand.
Them little pony dogs
The pony,
and all of that.
that's a lot.
Another question.
That's
Do you
a
have
lot.
to buy another ticket? Like, do they have to have their
I
own
think
seat?
it depends on the line.
yeah. Well, I've never.
depends on the airline.
had.
You know, because I'm wondering, there
I've
are
never
people
even wanted to,
There are people who
so-
are overweight who have to buy an extra
Exactly.
seat.
Yeah.
So if we're going to let you bring a dog and you don't have to purchase
Right.
another seat,
I've never
to me, that's
considered
Those are the
ridiculous.
kind of policies that need to be considered.
I don't care if it's an emotional support animal or not.
Little
you should have
pony
to pay.
dogs.
Or 2.
Little pony dogs. No.
Yeah, you got a freaking horse on there.
Get your ass on the bus.
Some-
I don't care. I don't care. You can be mad. Let me tell you something.
Or better yet,
Y'all can be mad at me all y'all want to, okay? You should not be flying with a damn pony horse. You should
Absolutely
not
not.
be flying with a pit bull.
Well, that's
you should
different.
not be flying with a damn Rottweiler.
Oh.
That's a little
If they're
different.
trained, it's no. Okay,
See,
a
there
golden
y'all go.
retriever
All right.
can maul you.
Yeah.
A golden retriever, a Malamute can maul you.
Yeah, okay.
A Chihuahua is the most aggressive and
Yeah, okay.
fierce dog on the planet.
Hey, I ain't trying to fly with none of them.
I'd sooner have a pit bull.
Hey,
Then
if you gonna fly with a dog, put that dog in a little bitty ass bag. That way, no. But the leash you walking around. Now look, if you a member of the U.S., if you a member of the military, that's my only exception. But the rest of y'all flying with damn pony horses. if you that emotionally, but you need that much help. And if you need that much help, that you need to fly with a pony horse, bus, Greyhound would gladly take your.
What about overseas?
Yeah, but I don't want you on a Greyhound with your
Hey,
dog.
Greyhounds work?
boat,
That's
No.
even
boat.
worse.
None of it.
fine,
None
rent a
of it.
car, Alamo, Avis,
Enterprise.
National, Enterprise, Thrifty, Dollar, Hertz. Pick one. Don't get your ass on the damn plane with a pony horse.
I agree with that. I got it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What the hell we trying to give rides and shit to kids on the plane? Guess what, kids? We got a surprise for y'all. You can ride a pony horse on a plane.
A whole pony
I
horse.
actually would like that for my kids, to be honest.
Okay, see, now I have.
Like,
And you
Okay,
keep
y'all,
letting it
last
out.
story. Last story. I'm done. Last story. She not from Mississippi, but she is the craziest white person of the week.
She must be from Texas.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
This ignorant ass woman we about to show y'all called the cops on a man because she didn't recognize who he was, and she said he looked illegal.
What are you saying about what? What?
Hello, Lindor Police. Hello. I have a problem. There's a guy that came out in the bushes. He's trying to take pictures of me. He looks illegal. I'm at Walmart. There's a guy illegal. He's illegal. He doesn't speak English. He's coming out in the bushes at Walmart in Lindor. He caught somebody for an outfit. Can he come get him? Do we live here? Are you from Africa? I'm from Glendora. Hi. This guy's so weird right now. He's gonna drive a truck out of here. He's illegal and belongs to Mexico. The address is Glendora Walmart. Can you Google that before he moves out? Because he's gonna take off and he's gone. Can you get a talk over here fast enough? I'm gonna block his fucking truck. I'm gonna block the fucker's truck. I'm gonna block this fucker's truck that doesn't belong in Glendora. Who are you? Who's this motherfucker that doesn't belong? Do you have a green card?
He works with those guys over there.
No. I don't know who this guy is.
He works with
How do you
those
know?
guys over there.
You know who he is?
He works with those guys over there.
He came out of the bushes.
He works with those guys on the
Those
border.
guys. Is it the railroad company?
ILB, International Line.
Okay, because I don't know this guy. He's videotaping me, and he looks creepy from Mexico. He's speaking broken English, La Migra.
And that's super racist.
It's not racist.
It is racist.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I have a friend
Wow.
down the street. No, it's not. No, I've seen a guy beat up. No, it's not racist. My dad is black. My dad is black. I'm not racist. This guy's from Mexico. They punk people, and they fucking don't know everybody's goddamn illegal shit. You understand?
Yeah.
And my dad's black. Don't call me racist, asshole.
My family works in law.
Oh, okay. So what? I want to make sure this guy's legit. I don't want him punking some. He could be punking your fucking job, taking your fucking outfit, working to get paperwork. I have all my paperwork over here. My dad's black, asshole. My dad's fucking black. It's not racist, stupid. Don't tell me I'm racist because he's Mexican. My little nephew's Italian, Mexican, and aloha. Stupid fuck. Don't tell me I'm racist. This fucker is coming out of the bushes telling me to move my car because he can't park straight, fucker. Stupid ass. I want to know who this piece of shit is.
Oh, y'all didn't find the long one? Oh my God, there was more to it.
Wait,
where she was like, yeah, he's probably taking your job. I told y'all, Trump done got these people just losing their mind here.
Don't put that on Trump. That's just racism, bigotry, prejudice that has existed.
Yeah, but the white folks have been calling the cops like crazy since 2016.
Yeah, but I think we probably are just seeing these things videotaped more. I don't know if they.
We had cameras in 2015.
But I think
we had phones in 2015.
But I think that this is something that now, when you have people are just really using their cameras to catch all sort of things, not just this sort of racism and prejudice and bigotry, but all sorts of things. So keep videotaping, and I hope her family sees it. I hope her church sees it. I hope her black dad sees it.
Her black dad
doesn't mean anything.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean anything. There's some crazy ass black people out there too.
But did you hear what came out of your mouth?
An aloha.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Yeah. Aloha.
Hawaii?
What the hell? Y'all, first of all, she said aloha. Then she said she came from Africa. Y'all, she tried. Okay, she used every racist. Every possible term. I'm not racist. My daddy black, girl. You ignorant.
She just kept.
What does it mean to be punking somebody's job? Like,
I don't even.
This is some.
Okay, first of all,
when we do it like a prank
coming out of the
you're trying to make common sense. You're trying to make common sense, y'all. I can't even.
He was trying to get out of the parking lot.
It's crazy. Right. Should have rolled over her ass.
Embarrassment.
Should have made her a speed bump. All right, y'all. First of all, we go in on this note here, y'all. Over the weekend, Naomi Osaka, reigning U.S. Open's tennis champ, she played Coco Gauff. One hell of a match, and she blew away Coco Gauff in that second set, 6-0. Tears were flowing for the 15-year-old. But if you want to see what sportsmanship looks like, Osaka asked her to participate with her in the post-game interview, and it was an amazing scene. If you missed it, check this out.
Once again, thank you, Naomi. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to take this moment away from her because she really deserves it, so thank you.
Naomi. You're a class act. You're used to being the young one. What's it like now being the veteran and mentoring someone like Coco?
I mean, I don't think I'm a mentor. I just want to say, if they're still here, you guys raised an amazing player. I remember I used to see you guys. I don't want to cry. I remember I used to see you guys. Sorry.
This is an emotional night, everybody.
I remember I used to see you guys training in the same place as us, and for me, like, the fact that both of us made it, and we're both still working as hard as we can, I think it's incredible. And I think you guys are amazing. I think, Coco, you're amazing.
It was certainly a dramatic moment. A lot of people were reduced to tears. Again, just an amazing scene. Those two, of course, you also had several other sisters who competed in the U.S. Open. You have another sister who advanced. Osaka lost, actually, in the next round. Serena is still in it as well. So, yeah, just an amazing display there of sportsmanship.
Black girls rock.
Absolutely. And you know, I love that because, you know, Coco looks like one of my nieces, and Naomi Osaka looks like my daughter. Yeah. So I got really emotional looking at that, you know, and her proud parents. And we see, particularly in tennis, I think, you know, the involvement of black parents, particularly black fathers, and what they do in mentoring their daughters and trying to see their daughters succeed, I think is a beautiful thing.
In the case of both of them, their fathers were the initial coaches.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and for me, it's just they're still so young. Like, Coco is, what, 16? 15 years old. And the fact that these are more, well, Osaka is 21 now, but the fact that they're more or less children who are actually teaching the world how to be true sportsmen, that just speaks volumes. The fact that they're black and they're girls and the black girl magic is just sprinkled all over that moment is one thing, and I definitely commend that. But
well, first, I think Osaka understood how emotional it was because, again, golf lost 6-0 in that second set. And what happened to her last year in the finals when the crowd was really cheering for Serena, the whole drama with the umpire, and then, of course, Osaka wins, and how she handled that as well. And then also, folks, right now, Serena, somebody posted on YouTube that Serena is out of the U.S. Open. No, she's not. She's playing right now. She up 3-0 in the first set.
I read that.
No, somebody. You read what?
I think I read some foolishness like that she was supposed to be getting.
Dude, it's a live match right now.
Yeah.
It's the quarterfinals right now. Serena's playing. She's up 3-0. Yeah. She's playing Wayne Kwong right now. It's called live.
I mean, no, I wasn't saying that.
What the hell were you reading?
No, I said that I read
something Mississippi?
See?
I'm just checking. All right, y'all. One thing our panel here. Thanks a lot. Mel, trust me, go talk to your Republican about voter suppression. Trust me, they'll confirm it. All right, y'all. Tomorrow is the first anniversary of Roland Martin Unfiltered. We launched this show 1 year ago, September 4th, 2018. It's been a fantastic year of course, lots of content. We're going to have some good stuff for you tomorrow. I'm going to share with you some stats to give you an indication of how good the last year has been. Blown my expectations. It's all because of you, all the folks who've been watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. So we want to have that for you as well. Don't forget, if you want to support what we do, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. This is an independent news operation. We are not corporately owned. We do this thing largely because of our partners and because of you. So please go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can use Square, PayPal, or even Cash App. Support what we do. I want to thank, is it Kimberly Banks? Kimberly just gave some money to us on YouTube, and I appreciate that. It was, yes, Kimberly Banks. We appreciate your donation to us on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, you can actually give during the show, so you can give straight to YouTube. So we certainly appreciate every dollar that you give, because again, this is about us being have the kind of conversations that we can do that you're not going to hear anywhere else. And so, look forward to see you guys tomorrow. I got to go. I'll see you guys on Tom Jones Morning Show, 7:15 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, and right here, 6 p.m. Eastern, Roland Martin Unfiltered.